Hello, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me. So my introductions. Of course, feedback is greatly important, so you can reach out to me either through email, Substack, X, and of course fill out those comments on YouTube. It's greatly appreciated. So audio platforms, I'm on Amazon Music, Spreaker, Spotify, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Pandora, just to name a few. Okay, so the topic of this episode is about the 1977 song Father Christmas by the Kinks. I'm going into details about the song and then, of course, get my thoughts. All right, so here we go. Let's listen in. Da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum. Do 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 da 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 dum da 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 dum da da dum ding dong dong. Okay, so before I get into the AI generated response, I just want to make a correction. It's actually Arista Records. I was saying incorrectly. So it's Arista Records. All right. And okay, here is the AI generated response to the questions that I asked about the song. So here we go. Father Christmas money facts. Based on provided search results, these are some of the facts about Father Christmas by the Kinks. So, it was released in 1977, as I mentioned, as a single and included on the compilation album Come Dance With Me with the Kinks. Arista, or y'all help me out, because I think it's Artista or Arista. So, lyrics. The song's lyrics describe a department store Santa Claus being mugged by a gang of poor kids who demanded money instead of toys. The kids asked Santa to give all the toys to the little rich boys and request jobs for the parents. So, the musical style. The song features a punk rock arrangement with prominent distorted guitar riffs. Live performance. Ray Davies, the lead vocalist, would often dress up as Santa Claus during the live performances of the song. Cover versions. The song has been covered by several artists, including Man Overboard, who recorded it for the compilation album Punk Goes Christmas. So meaning, the song's writer Ray Davies intended it as a commentary on commercialization of Christmas and the struggles of working class families during the holiday season. Alright, so the unique aspect. Father Christmas is one of the few Christmas songs that features themes of violence, poverty, and social commentary, setting it apart from more traditional holiday tunes. So overall, Father Christmas by the Kinks is a unique and thought-provoking Christmas song that provides the darker side of the holiday season. Okay, so I'm going to give some of my thoughts about this, and then I'm going to get into an article that explains even more about the song. All right, so my thoughts about this song. I like the Kinks, and I think that this song was, even though they were saying about this was a transition for them as their extension for their album. But a band like the Kinks, they came from the 60s, and the 60s was really unique with the aspects of changing the concept about musical form, changing the concept about even deeper than that. Changing the concept of, people were changing their concept of how they viewed the world. And so with these aspects of music is a vehicle to make commentary about that. And so that's the impact that I would like to draw in and let you all know who listen to me, and I greatly appreciate it. I emphasize a lot about music on my podcast because I think, I'm not, of course, there's other people that make commentary about it, but I want to keep driving that emphasis and give different examples about this. Music, whether people want to realize that or not, I know people do realize that, but the ones that don't, music has a great influence on society. And I would say, in my opinion, that is on the platforms as and the influence of politics, the influence of, now this could be controversial, but I'm just being quite honest about it, about the aspects of religion and stuff like this. And I mean this is because when you get into the aspects of what music brings to a society, it is something that people who don't appreciate music, who don't like music, they have an opinion about it, and it changes the discourse about how they think to a lesser extent. If they're not, there's a reason why they disdain from music, whether it's they don't hear something new or it's nothing of interest to them for whatever reason that they have. And then versus the aspects of people enjoying music and the aspects of how music is incorporated, where it's either background music or in the aspects of background music, artists purposely do things to tell, set narratives, and people wrap themselves around to these different tribes of music. So, for instance, there's a whole culture that comes out of different genres of music. Okay, when you get in pop music, there's a certain look, there's a certain style, there's a certain thought process with pop music. When you get into the aspects of country, now people are making an argument now, and I can see that country isn't what it used to be. It's more of a different version of pop now. It's unfortunate, but that's the case. But the originality of country music, bluegrass, it has a certain authenticity to it that is driven into the aspects about it. Now, when you get into rap culture is very prevalent, and there's a certain bravado, so to speak, with rap music. And there's a lot of negative connotations with rap music, too. Now, there's good with rap music for the aspects of, rap. There are rap artists who speak and who are about being sophisticated and elevated in their process of music and the delivery and what they say. But here we go. And if you hear wind in the background, it's getting pretty chilly here where I live. Weather is changing, and I can imagine other parts of the world where, and in the U.S., north, so on and so forth. It's cold, so y'all understand. So going back here, talking about the Kinks. So their sound was already revving to the aspect of making commentary about the subculture, I guess you could say. And then it went more so around the realms with that punk edge. So, which was more popular to do. around the 70s, with the aspects of the Sex Pistols, the aspects of bands like that, and the aspects of the Clash. Now, I'm highlighting these two bands because they were the most prolific. Now, of course, the Ramones. Hey, Ramones. I wanna be stated. Now, those are American roots there. But I'm highlighting here with these bands with Sex Pistols and the Clash because their roots come from the UK. Now, at the forefront, punk, and then, pop punk, getting to my generation, the millennials, when, Sum 41, emo punk, could say with Blink-182 and so forth. But here, let me ring back. So, at the roots of punk, it was all coming from the UK. So, now I touched on this, and I mentioned this in a previous episode when I was talking about, the Clash and stuff like that with music. So, they were facing a lot of upheaval, and they were going against the aspects of power and tyranny. Because they were living in the times of Margaret Thatcher, and she really didn't care about the aspects of the public say, and people were really poor, and people were really going through it. And so, punk came out of this pain and misery, and making commentary about that. And so, when it came across to the U.S. and it became more popular, these bands like the Clash and Sex Pistols, people started to notice, and that changed the aspect of how rock and the realms of rock what was thought about. And so, you get a band like the Ramones to come out and give their versions about punk. And then, it's really interesting that they hit in heavy, most of the songs. And you hear that root. And I like that surfer 60s soul going on there, that kind of music. And it's really cool and unique to get that touch with it, with the aspects of softening punk, Now, when you get to a band like the Kinks, it goes with the territory, with the realm of what they were already doing. Because they, like Lola, for instance, la 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 Lola. Now, when you get into the depths about that song, now this song is making commentary about the aspects of femininity and the aspects of masculinity, and how that's thought about, and the aspects of a heterosexual relationship. And so when you're touching on subjects like that are pretty taboo, especially for the time period. Now, again, the 60s was all about revolutionizing the concept of what's considered traditional or normal, So it makes sense that they would want to involve themselves in a song like that, with the aspects of how it is sad to say that, but there's a happy medium with the aspects of Christmas being too commercialized, and the aspects of not understanding the heart of the matter, what Christmas truly, the spirit of Christmas is truly about. So, yeah, I'm talking about this song because I think it gives a unique play about the aspect of the traditional realm of what is thought of when people when Christmas comes to mind and the concept and the thought process about Christmas. And so I appreciate that when artists try to take a look at that and make commentary. Now, there's also a thin line of aspects too of crossing the line and being respectful and knowing your place, with the aspects, unfortunately, of what the things that go on today, where people do a lot of inappropriate things just to prove a point. For instance, with the aspects of not appreciating, or just saying something or making something out of nothing for the aspects of clout. Okay, so for instance, and I was discussing this with my husband, and I discussed this, pretty early, but I revamped this too when I visited my mother for Thanksgiving. So, now this was going on way back in, tapping its head 2014, 2015. So, explain to me the character. Now, I can't think about his name right now, but the character, the black character that was in the Snoopy cartoon, or the Snoopy comics, or he is seen as problematic now. That is something racist about the undertones of his character, which is far from the truth, and which strips away from the legacy that Charlie Brown has put on society. Now, it shows ignorance too, because the people who are saying these things, they're not paying attention to the aspect that this proves a point that people were harmonizing their views of race-related issues at a time where you would think that this would be a polarizing subject. So why is this polarizing now when you would think that we should be living in the times where race is not an issue anymore? Of course that's going to be a thing, because that's of the human condition to be just more along the lines of, and that's what I made commentary about in one of my previous episodes. If people really want to be honest with themselves, class structure, as far as middle class, high, lower, and so forth, is really an issue that runs in people's mind as far as being judgmental about. And then race is just a secondhand nature. But, of course, racism is something that's not going to go away. It's just something that's part of human condition. That's just what people are going to be. But for the most part, people are generally good. That just doesn't generally surface in somebody's mind. And then putting that into a beloved characters, and then a beloved character that is introduced in Charlie Brown at a time when race relations were really a serious problem, and really, showing his ugly head. Look, there's a soft touch and a nice touch, and that's taken away from that power of making commentary about the aspect that, when at the heart of the matter, when you just see somebody as human and be delicate about the situation and then have that interlaced too with the childlike wonder of how children go about their lives. They just see another child and they want to play with them because they got certain interest, or they play, they like their shoes, or something simple as that, or they like the color shirt they're wearing, or they like the kind of toy they have, and so forth. They'll make friends. And so that's so sweet and innocent and wonderful that Charles Schwartz was making commentary about that, and simplistic. It wasn't simple. I don't think it was simplistic, but it was not overbearing. It was just in a sensitive way to where it is relatable to the general public. And so I think things like this, you got to keep in mind. All right, so I'm going to get into the facts, more facts about this song. And this song, criticisms about it, and I like to know what you all think, about the aspects of beating somebody up just because, especially beating a Santa up, just, the poor man's doing his job and these kids are feeling this desperate to do that. Now that's really jarring, but here in itself, it jumps that conversation to have about this aspect of the sense of poverty and the sense of desperation, the real desperation that peaks and that can happen, and that peaks in a child's mind with the aspect and the commentary about the parent losing their job and they're trying to find their way, and to have such a hyperbolic sense of action that's really a platform for people to have a good conversation about, to talk about stuff. And I think that's what's also the second aspect of what I want to prevail in my podcast about music. It really is one of those it's just one of those things that transcends the aspects of the aspects of our artistic expression, to where people, whether they are are kind of hesitant, but they ease up to it. They when they feel comfortable, they'll say something, make comments about music, and I think that's the beauty within it too. All right, enough said. I'm going to get into the facts, more facts about this song. And of course, these sources will be provided for you in this episode. And so before I get into the nitty-gritty about everything, let me also correct myself when I said the UK. So the UK means, everything from Australia onto New Zealand, but specifically from the UK, I'm referring to London. I just want to make that minor detail correction there. Okay, so it says this is the first source that I'm reading from is is from lyrics.com, and it's about Father Christmas, which is the song, and it's from the album Man Overboard. So Father Christmas is a 1977 single by the English group the Kinks. It tells of a department store Father Christmas who is beaten up by a gang of poor kids who tell him to give them money instead of toys, as toys are impractical, and asks that the toys be given to the little rich boys. At the point, a child asks the narrator to give his mother, her father a job, for Christmas, or if he must deliver a toy, a machine gun. The song has been covered by a number of bands, including Dispatch, Green Day, Bad Religion, Warrant, Lit, Bowling for Soup, Save Farish, Smash Mouth, Carey Brothers, Action, Everything, Deer Tick, OK Go, just to name a few. All right, so the second source here, let me pull that up. So it's by societyofrock.com, and it's entitled The Kinks' Father Christmas is the holiday song you never knew you needed. So it goes on to say, all right, so this is from the perspective of the writer. So he goes on to say this is his favorite Christmas song because of the British invasion rockers of the Kinks in returning to the scene in 76 with Father Christmas. An irreverent yet surprisingly poignant approach to your regular run-of-the-mill songs played during the holidays, while the Kinks singer Ray Davies pushed the envelope just a little with the lyrics about beating up Santa Claus and asking for a machine gun of all things. He also gets down to the reality of Christmas, as the song is told from the perspective of less fortunate kids. They rather have things like money and a job for their fathers who had been out of work instead of toys and board games. And so, this prevalent, this goes on to the aspects of living in the times of Margaret Thatcher in England and all the chaos they were going through. And a job for their fathers who had been out of work instead of toys and board games, things that'll actually help their family survive past just the one day. So here's a fun fact. So the Kinks are widely regarded as some of the godfathers of punk rock music, which is quite interesting. So, sure, it's a hilarious song, and it absolutely rocks. That guitar solo at a minute, the time set is 1:05. It's so classic. Kinks with a sharp, almost tiny sound, letting us know that the same band who wrote "You Really Got Me" and all of the day and all of the night, which are my favorites, is still there underneath the polished yet almost punk sound of Father Christmas. More importantly, though, it's a great song that also thinks of Christmas from a perspective most of us would never, unless we were also in that position. And that's an amazing legacy to leave behind, even if it's only once a year. All right, so this is reaching the end of the Harbor Light. So I'd like to know your thoughts about this song. Bless you, sweetheart. Give me comments. Feel free to reach out to me. Give me comments about your aspects in general about Christmas music and so forth. So I'm going to touch on another Christmas song that's unconventional too next week. So keep your ears out listening for that. All right, feel free to reach out to me either through email, Substack, X, and of course fill up those comments in YouTube. It's greatly appreciated. Okay, so this is the end of the Harboring Light, and I will reiterate this as the December goes on and on to the new year. Have a happy holiday and, of course, a great new year. Bye-bye.